A good explanation of what a script is. Remember when the iPhone first came out and it was all about there's an app for that? Well, if you're using After Effects and there's functionality that's missing, there's a script for that. Hi everyone, it's Kalika and I'm here with some After Effects scripts that will change your life, or at least make your workflow a lot faster. I'm first going to show you how to install the scripts, and then I'm going to show you some of my favorite scripts: Fresh Trim, Declutter, Masks to Layers, Nth Layer Selector, and my favorite, Buttcapper, if only for the name. So let's get started with installing our scripts. Most of the scripts that I'm going to be talking about today came from the aescripts.com website. And in order to install those scripts, you basically just need to purchase them on your account and then install this Plugins Manager app from the website, which is linked down below in the description. And once you have that installed, you'll need to log into that app, and then you can just locate your scripts. The ones that I have not installed are orange, the ones I have installed are white, and the ones that have a upgrade available have a little up arrow next to them. Now, if you want to uninstall it, you can just do that right here by clicking on this little purple button on the right-hand side, and then you can install it again just by clicking on it and clicking the install button. Now, this isn't going to work if After Effects is already on. So if After Effects is on and you didn't get an error message from AE Scripts, then you have to restart After Effects. No big deal. As long as you're logged into the AE Scripts app with the same login information as you bought the script, you will find all your scripts right here, and you can search for them using this search box. Now, what if you downloaded a script from somewhere else? Like, for example, Battle Axe is a company that makes some really amazing scripts. And one of them is called Buttcapper. We're going to review that today. So I downloaded it, and it's located on my hard drive, and I want to install that one. So the easiest way to do that is through After Effects itself. I'm going to be using After Effects version 2024 because that's where my project file is located. And that's also where all of my scripts are installed. It's the same exact protocol, whether you're using the 2024 version or the 2025 version. What you would do is go to the File menu, go to Scripts, and then you would go to Install Script UI Panel. Now, you're tempted to do Install Script File because we just call them scripts, but they're actually script UI panels. They're little extra windows. I'm going to install it. Buttcapper. We're looking for the thing called .jsx, and I hit Select. And it should install it, and you'll find it in the Window menu. And if you just keep scrolling down to the bottom, you will see, lo and behold, there are my scripts under all the timelines. So one of the issues that After Effects users have all the time when they're working with their compositions is that compositions take a really long time to export. And part of why they take a really long time to export can be attributed to having layers that are present but aren't doing anything, because After Effects is still calculating them. So if I go in here and I go to this one here, even though the animation is over by this point in time, if my export continues, it's still calculating the presence of all of these layers, both before the animation begins and after it's over. So this is sort of a problem, right? I mean, who's going to go through every single layer and shorten it up? Sure, you can hold the Shift key and kind of snap to it. It doesn't always work. It's time consuming, it's error prone, not my favorite. So what you do instead is you use Fresh Trim. So if we go over here to our windows, and we scroll all the way to the bottom, here is Fresh Trim, and it's asking me to input my license code. So if that happens to you, this is a learning opportunity, you can just go over to your name and then go to your downloads and licenses. And then you can sort by name, show 50 per page, and we want Fresh Trim right here. So this is my license code. So you just copy this license code, go back to After Effects, And in your fresh trim window, you can just close that guy and open it up again. Enter the license code. There we go. Paste. Okay. Registration successful. Thank you. Okay. It's recreating some icons, and there we go. Now, it can get a little bit confusing to use a lot of these scripts if you don't have your preferences set up correctly. What I really like is when it tells you what each button is going to do. So if you're an advanced After Effects user and you are using one of these scripts and you don't have your tooltips turned on, you're going to be potentially very confused, especially if you've never used this script before. So just go into your After Effects settings, go to General, and you should be able to find Tooltips, which is that very, very first preference. So just make sure that's on so that when you hover, it'll tell you what it's going to do. So here we are. I'm going to trim to my keyframes. If I have everything selected and I click on the keyframes button, it trims to both beginning and ending keyframes. That's pretty great. You also have other options: trim to parents, trim to children, trim to matte, trim to what has been matted by this layer, trim to when things are 0 for opacity. Lots and lots of options here to trim your layers down so that you're not wasting precious time in your exports on things that no longer exist. The other one that I think is just really fantastic is masks to layers. Now, this is especially helpful if you're going to do something like a shatter. So for example, if I have just a new composition here and I type in a word, and I'm just going to cut this up using masks. Now, whenever I'm going to cut something up using masks, I have a little secret, and that secret is that I start with a rectangular mask, so nothing ever goes completely disappeared. And I'm just going to make a series of masks that are going to explode out. And this happens all the time where I have one layer that I need to break apart, and who wants to like make lots and lots of duplicates of the same layer? It's kind of a drag. So I just have them overlapping slightly, and I want this to break at a certain point. So what I would typically do is maybe set like 10 frames, and at 10 frames, I would split the layer just so I have one copy with no masks. So I'm just going to delete all the masks. And this is whoa, whole. And then the second piece is all the different pieces. Hit M for mask. I'm going to delete the square mask. And I want all of these pieces to just go, okay? And what I used to do before I discovered this particular script is I would duplicate it as many times as I had masks and then delete any masks I didn't need, which is super time consuming and not necessary when you have this script. So if I scroll down to masks to layers, which for some reason does not come up alphabetically, and this is a free or pay what you wish script, make sure that you don't change the anchor point. For some reason, that aspect does not work. Hit proceed. And all of a sudden, you have each layer separated out as its own mask. So the anchor points are all kind of messed up, but there's a script for that as well. And the script that I like for that is called Reposition Anchor Point. It's really, really simple. Guides Up has that aspect as well. Within Guides Up, you're looking for the one called Center Anchor. And if you have all of your layers selected and you click on it, it centers the anchor point in each and every one of these layers, which is super duper useful. Now, sometimes it works great and sometimes it's not really working as great. So use your discretion and definitely come in here and adjust if you need to. I think what it's doing is it's kind of figuring out what's actually present on that layer. And that is this section right here. It's not all this empty space. So it set the anchor point based on what the center of the stuff in the mask is. So yeah, each of these has now been separated. You can very, very easily now do an explosion where you just select all these guys, hit P for position, turn on the position keyframe, advance like 10 frames, and then just turn off my mask. And then you would just have it, I think it slows down at the end. So just give it an ease. And now here is my word exploding. And then I would probably also add some rotation, but that's how I would do something like that so easily using the masks to layers and the guides up. So sometimes it happens that you have just so many layers, like so many layers, and you need to select some of them, and then you need to select others of them. So especially if it's something data driven, like you have 100 different dots on the screen and you need to select half of them systemically, and then you want to have like the other half of them disappear. Again, there is a way to do that. It's really very, very cool. Let me show you this with a couple of other scripts. So we're going to need for this one, decompose text. And we're also going to need the nth layer selector. Now, nth layer selector is one of those like OG scripts that came out really, really long time ago. And it's really very special. So let's see if, yep, there's our nth layer selector. Oh, look at that. It doesn't even come with a window. That's how basic this is. It says, which nth layer would you like to select? Well, hold up. We're not ready for you yet, nth layer selector. So we're going to do our decompose situation first. I'm going to do a new composition. This time I'm going to do something a little more standard. It's going to be HD. This is going to be lots of dots. Okay, and I'm just going to make a giant text box and just fill up the whole thing with lots and lots of dots. Yeah, that's fine. This is enough to like get the idea across. All right, so I'm going to take all these dots and I'm going to decompose them into characters, okay? And you want the original position using expressions. You don't want the approximate position without expressions. No, 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 no. So we're going to do decompose. It's going to take a moment. Paragraph text is not supported. Fine. Right click, convert to point text. Ta-da, now we have point text. So I zoom back. Okay, decompose. And it's making a separate layer for every single one of those dots. Like I said, it's going to take a moment because it's going chug, 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 and it's making all the dots. There's probably like 100, maybe more. Now, this would be really painful to have to like manually separate if your client was then like, actually, I want like half of those. And they're just going to disappear. Okay. So I just collapsed all of my layers and I'm going to use the nth layer selector to select every other layer. And this is like very methodical, my friends. So I go over here to my windows, I scroll down and I locate my nth layer selector. Which nth layer would you like to select? Well, I would like to select the second layer. So N, my friends who are not math nerds, is where you're going to replace the number. So I want the second number. Okay. So I want the second of every other one of these guys. Okay, so now they've all been selected and I'm going to change their color to something different. So I selected all of these guys and I can go over here and just change them to be like right there. And I want at like 10 frames for all these guys to just disappear. So I'm going to go back by 1 frame, command left arrow, option right bracket, and that just makes them disappear. And watch what happens. It's like magic, my friends. So I'm just going to move this over. So everything's going to be present for a moment. And then half of them are suddenly going to disappear. Boop. Pretty cool. And then if you wanted to select half of the remaining ones, well, guess what? You could do that really easily. You would just select all these guys, run nth layer selector again by going to the window menu, scrolling down, finding it there, and say, I want the second layer again, and then change that to another unique color, say yellow, and then at 19 frames, option right bracket those guys. And I can organize it a little bit. So I have orange, then yellow, then red, and the animation is going to play back like this. So we have everything showing, then we have half of those that remain, and then we have another half that remain. Okay? So then here comes my favorite one, and this is Buttcapper. I really, really like having things draw on. I don't know why. It's cheesy. I know it's been done. I know, but there's something really special when you make one of your drawings just draw on. I love it. So here we go. Oh, look how cute. But I hate all of these angles. It's so sharp. It is not smooth. Enter the Buttcapper. So you go over to the right in the window menu and you go to Buttcapper. There's my Buttcapper. And this is magic, friends. Click on the name of the layer. First of all, we want to fix these nasty corners here. Now, if you can't see them properly, that's okay. Just go to one of your shape drawing tools, increase your stroke width so you can really see them. Yeah, that's called a butt cap right there. It is not my favorite. So if you go over here and you click on line cap style to round, it's going to round out your ends for every path that's inside of this particular layer. Okay, nice. But see how this is still sharp? Ew. So if I hold the Alt key down and I click on the round cap type, it's going to round my edges as well. So look at this difference. So this is what it looked like before the Buttcapper. When I click it once to round my ends and Option click it a second time to round my corners, now it looks like it's been smoothed out. Yes. Buttcapper saves the day. It's amazing. It'll save you so much time. And then I can go back and be like, yo, that is not an appropriate stroke width. I can change the stroke width, the color, whatever. So that, my friends, is the Buttcapper. The problem is that Declutter doesn't work great in After Effects version 2024. So we're going to use it in After Effects version 2025. Here's what you do. The Declutter script is not at the bottom of your window menu. Yeah, that's where you would think you would find your After Effects scripts. It's located in the extensions section. So if you go here, you go to Declutter. The default Declutter folder structure is not terrible. So let me just show you that. If you click on the little pencil icon, it allows you to organize it. There's a comps folder with pre-comps in it. There's an assets folder. Everything else goes into the assets folder. Just hit save, that's fine. And you can also set it to save before it declutters, which is a really good habit to get into. Click the little sprocket at the bottom for preferences. Make sure that it says save project before organizing. I just turned everything else on. Hit save, and then you just click the word declutter. And look at the magic that happens in the project window. Ready? What? And then I can swivel this open, and there's something called comps, and there's something called assets, and there's an Illustrator folder, there's an audio folder, there's an images folder. It is so organized. It's so nice. And this makes it much easier to find all your stuff, first of all. And second of all, if you're collaborating between Macs and PCs, PCs have a character limit. And if you collect your files for a PC and you had imported a project that had imported projects in it, some of your assets might be like 10 and 12 and 20 folders deep, and a Mac won't blink, but a PC will freak completely out. And you don't want to do that to your friends who are on a PC. Their life is hard enough as it is. So just, do them a favor and declutter before you start. And you don't need this folder that's called Declutter. Matter of fact, I can get rid of that. Click on the preferences again. And I don't want to create a top folder with the structure's name next time. So just hit new, hit save. I can just pull these guys out. Now, alternatively, if you don't like how it organized, or if the program glitches, you can just undo. Yeah, amazing, right? I just Command Z and it's as if nothing ever happened. Then I can try declutter again, this time without the top folder. And yes, that is what I wanted. So that's it. That's how you use declutter. I know people always want to know, but how much does it cost? If you go to battleaxe.co which is brutal tools and merch and freebies for design and animation. They have a mailing list. And if you sign up for their mailing list or account or whatever, you have access to all the free stuff. And the free stuff includes all kinds of cool stuff like Beat Grid, which is great for animating to music, and Buttcapper, which is my favorite. And you can just download it from there. And then you can install it really easily. Buttcapper is free. Brush trim is typically $25, but if you buy it on sale, it's $9.99. Declutter, I think, was also $25. Definitely worth it, though. I mean, think about what your time's worth. Masks to layers is pay what you wish. So my thing with name your own price is if I'm just trying it out, I'll put $0 and then I'll buy it again once it's actually being used. This way you support the author of this script. And every summer they have this cool sale at AE Scripts where you can like buy things for super cheap. So just keep an eye out on AE Scripts and aeplugins.com. If you have an idea for an upcoming tutorial for me to do, please let me know. And if you liked this tutorial, please let me know what you liked about it. All right, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.